Hello everybody, how are you going? Or welcome to TikTok's Only Canadians Will Understand Food Edition, where we get to learn all the little intricacies of what goes on in Canada, as there are some famous ones, but I'm sure there are some less famous ones that are just as good.
What are the 5 most popular foods in Canada?
I'm gonna go with shawarma.
Surely poutine.
Hot dog?
No,
Pizza?
no,
What?
Or
Hamburger?
shouts.
no.
This
Really?
list is tainted. The
What else?
Montreal bagel?
That's number 4.
Ooh,
Oh,
okay,
poutine?
okay.
Yeah, that's number
There
1.
we go.
Oh, donut. Timbit.
Timbits.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
okay.
number
Yes,
5.
yes.
Okay. Yeah, give me some clues because I'm lost.
Okay, this one's also
Any-
a sweet treat.
A churro.
No, by any chance?
Give me a
Sure.
hockey reference. Come on, go.
What?
It kind of looks like a puck. Number
Okay.
2
What?
Yeah.
is a bannock. Bannock? It's like a little bun pastry. It's super popular. And then number
From where?
3 is a butter tart, which are
butter
super
tart.
popular.
Okay.
I feel like they're
Oh.
everywhere. They sell them at every bakery in Canada.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
What are the
Every
5 most-
single bakery has a butter tart. I mean, it makes sense as they're just going to be a very, very simple, just pump-outable tart. But a bannock, if that's how it's pronounced, is an indigenous bread. It's weird that people don't know this. Bannock, I was born and raised in Canada. I've never heard of this. So I'm wondering, is it in a particular area of France? Like, let's say you've got the divide between kind of Quebec and everyone else. Is it a similar kind of situation where this is only sold in one spot, but it's sold to a big populace, and so that's where you get it being such a high spot on the list? Or has it maybe just been manipulated a little bit? And as good as it is, because that's what I came here for, to learn about other random ones that I've never heard of before, if nobody knows what it is, then surely it's not the top 5.
I've just ordered Chinese for dinner in Canada,
Oh,
and I thought
okay.
I'd show you what it's like compared to England.
I've seen
okay,
one of
so
these
first we have
before.
General Tso chicken. It's like chili chicken in England, I think.
What?
So I ordered chili calamari, which I think is like salt
What?
and pepper squid, right? It looks a bit
Yeah.
thicker though, but it does still look really good.
Okay.
And we got shrimp fried rice. Pretty similar
Classic.
to England, actually. Do you know what it's missing though?
Absolute
Curry
classic.
sauce.
Ooh.
So I ordered an egg roll because I didn't know it was different to a spring roll, but they are slightly different if you look.
Oh.
So I'm excited to try these. Okay, so this is the egg roll.
What is the difference?
Do you really like that egg roll? Wait, I said egg roll. Egg, I mean. Okay, let's try this.
What is the difference then between them? That looks really crunchy.
I prefer the spring roll, but both of them were so
Oh,
good. Okay, so
fair
let's try the
enough.
calamari. Oh my god. So nice. I love
Yeah?
seafood. It's not actually
Fair
that
enough.
chewy either, which I really like.
Like I said, I have seen one of these before, but just the direct comparison between the egg roll and the spring roll is so good, because I always thought that the egg roll was the identical thing to a spring roll, aka a spring roll didn't really exist, but then I was confused because they look slightly different, and so being able to see them just right next to one another, you can see it. I do want to try and see though, did she show us the inside of the egg roll? I'm not sure. Not particularly. We just saw the spring roll, and so if anyone would love to know, or if anyone is able to tell me what is inside an egg roll in comparison to inside a spring roll, I would love to know that, because they're so similar in their, well, everything. It's just like it's been too deep fried. If you just smush the spring roll down and put it over here, that's what you've got. Otherwise though, the fact that it's not coming in standard takeaway containers, I don't know what else you can call them, but plastic containers, whereas this is in aluminium circular pans? What, like, I don't know how else to describe that, but that is, I guess, a takeaway container, but unlike anything that has ever been given out in Australia.
You can dine for $19 in
Damn.
Toronto, believe it or not,
Wow,
but it's
that's
still
a
possible.
bowl.
Look at this massive bowl of
Look at it.
noodles. Traditional
That's
style
huge.
hand-pulled noodles made exactly fresh in front of you, and for every
Damn.
order. It's made exactly
What?
like this, and that's what makes it different.
Whoa.
Now see this beauty. It's the number
That's
2 medium
awesome.
noodles. This massive bowl of traditional signature hand-pulled
Choppy.
noodles was super delicious.
Oh.
And flavorful broth and meat can be shared among 2, and the portion is so big
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you can't complain.
That's
Totally
awesome.
satisfied with the amount I paid.
$19. That's awesome, especially for $19 Canadian, I can only presume. I mean, it does say not a promotional scam, but honestly, it feels like it has to be. If you're getting that kind of volume for that kind of price, that's great. And even just seeing, like, really, like, to pull them right then and there, I want to see this again. That was honestly the most impressive thing of this entire thing, just seeing them all of a sudden just boom, string noodles. How many times around, and how do you do that? Does he then chop off the ends? Is it kind of technically one massive long noodle if you were to just cook it all up? I can only presume that'd be very, very difficult, but hey, Lady and the Tramp would have a hell of a time. They'd finish their whole meal in one go, but man, that looked awesome. And so I guess, where was it? It was in, okay, oh, so it's a chain restaurant? If they're saying across the GTA? Fair enough. Alright, well apparently there is 5 around the Grand Toronto area, and so I guess it's nicely spread out. These two are kind of right next door to one another. How far? Like a couple of K? But either way, just being able to get, okay, 10K, it's a lot bigger area than I expected. Sometimes it's hard to get the sense of scale, but for them to be having multiple restaurants, they are clearly being quite successful, and so hopefully from a consumer point of view, the price doesn't change, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised as that looks crazy good.
I'm going to show you how to make the perfect medium rare chicken sandwich. First thing you're going to want to do is go and...
Oh my goodness. I was going to say, that was wild to be opening up like that and just going, hang on a second. This feels like you're going to be having a couple of problems just coming your way. Just look at that. I mean, from what they're describing, I guess they aren't wrong. They aren't saying that people should eat it. They aren't saying people should, well, they are saying how to make it. But at the same time, it is exactly what they're saying. It is medium rare if you were just to translate that straight over to a steak. But God, that is just a crazy roller coaster going, okay, this looks like a nice kitchen. That's a decent, but oh my goodness, what are we looking at there? But at least they are self-aware.
All right, guys. So I've tried Domino's. I've tried Pizza Hut. You guys said try a local place. All right.
Yeah.
So we went to Margate. I think it's called Bella Sicilia. Bella Sicilia. I think
This is right.
now this looks so good.
Australia.
Look at that cheese.
Look at that. That is crazy.
Now this
Is
is
that
an
just
extra large
cheese?
pizza. All right, that's huge.
Is that just a cheese pizza? What is it? My God.
Oh.
Jesus. Look at that thing. It's been molten and then it's coming back.
By far the best pizza I've ever had.
Jeez.
No kidding.
Alright.
Like that actually is so good.
I feel as though we are missing a boatload of context here, but I do remember this guy is from Canada and he's come down to Australia. So like he said, he has tried some chain restaurants, which are good for general catering, but if people do just want to be getting a proper pizza, then no, you need to be going to a few other places. But I do just want to be knowing, what is this pizza? Because it just looks like cheese, or at least from a ratio wise, it might as well just be a cheese, and maybe if some toppings happen to fall in there, you could say it's a X and cheese pizza. But that thing has just been cooked kind of to perfection, but the whole thing is so marbled and molten that no wonder he couldn't speak for a while there. It's because his arteries were just trying to deal with what he just hit them with.
These are 5 foods invented in Canada that I wish we could take back. Number 5 is the California roll. The name actually comes from the C in crab and the A in avocado being the short form for the state of California. Now, a few people actually claim they invented these, but the strongest case comes out of Vancouver, Canada. These actually aren't horrendous. I just find it hilarious that the only sushi our country's known for has no raw fish in it and is named after an American state. Number 4, instant mashed potatoes. Betty Crocker, you lion trollop. This vile box of dehydrated potato flakes was invented by Canadian Eddie Asselberg in the 1960s. If you haven't had the pleasure of eating these, imagine a big old bowl of paper mache paste mixed with sawdust. Now imagine pushing that out 8 hours later.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, well, he's not done, but I just needed to kind of take a moment to, well, digest it. I don't know if I've ever had powdered mashed potato, but from his description, I'm glad.
You're welcome. Number 3, the Hawaiian pizza. Yet another Canadian invention named after someplace else. This repugnant creation happened for the first time in 1962 by Canadian pizza shop owner Sam Panopoulos, which upon doing absolutely no research, I think translated from Greek means the devil's tongue. Rumor has it the reason it's called the Hawaiian pizza is because that was the brand name of the pineapple he used. I believe it's because he didn't want anyone to know where he lived, so they could find him and make him eat a piece of his own putrid atrocity. Number 2 is split pea soup. Yeah, sure, the name sounds like something you'd have to drink with your friend if you were lost at sea. And sure, it looks like something you'd get after you wrung out Grandpa Jack's pocket hanky after a week of suffering from a terrible chest cold. But how does it taste, you ask? Well, if having to put your dog down was a flavor, that's it. And number 1, all dressed chips. This is going to piss off a lot of folk, and I don't care what Letterkenny says. These are not good. How does something taste like everything and nothing at the same time? Despite what everyone believes, there is a version of these available in the US. The American equivalent is called the whole shebang, and it's made by a prison supply company called the Keefe Group. So it appears our American friends got one thing right. The only appropriate place to eat these are in prison.
That's brutal. I've never heard that though. The whole shebang, and not even she, not even shay, but shebang. I love it. That's very non-USA of them, so to say. I feel like I've never heard anyone say shebang. If anything, I would have had to say it feels a lot more British. It just feels like slang that they would have, but otherwise he just was not happy with, I mean, clearly any of these things, from sushi being the California roll, that's just unfortunate, but everything else, I think that, what do you call it, split pea soup, as well as ham and pineapple pizza, and just all the myths and legends that go along with these things, honestly, just level up your taste buds, because I reckon both of those can be pretty darn good, especially if you're just getting some proper ingredients. I mean, there are plenty of things out there when you go, oh, okay, you'll compare the worst ham and the worst pineapple and the worst peas and the worst, well, I guess it's ham again. But if you're just having poor ingredients, then also a poor cook, then you could just apply the rule of, oh, I don't like it to anything, really. But if you're actually having a decent meal, this one is a winter special, a little bit different to a lot of other soups, but still just, I understand what he was talking about, but nicely thick compared to some soups. And then ham and pineapple is just a classic. I mean, you really just can't go wrong by ordering that at a party, can you?
For this recipe, all you need is one ingredient.
Wait,
You've never had
cheese?
chips like this before.
Chips? Cheese on chips?
This is one of the greatest
I don't know
cheese
what the
hacks I've ever come across. Just
Wait.
line your baking tray with parchment paper, then I grab a couple bags of delicious Armstrong cheese shreds.
Why is it
Now
so
add
orange?
that to your baking tray.
I'm so confused.
Now for this, you can use just one flavor or you can use multiple. But I like to spice things up, so I used one triple cheddar from Armstrong
triple
and
cheddar?
Armstrong Tex-Mex.
Place them about 2 inches
What's that?
apart, and then wait while we bake at 400 for 9 minutes.
9 minutes? Okay.
Once they're done, they'll look something like this.
Look
Let
at
them
that,
cool
that's
down, become
wild.
crispy, and finally enjoy.
I mean,
For this,
I must admit I am a little bit partial to the kind of crusty bits that might form on a tray after making a lasagna or something like that. But to be going out of your way to make them, I guess if you like it, it makes sense. But you certainly can't be calling them chips. They're crusty cheese. Just call it what it is. There's no shame in it. We'll just call it what it is, because that, there is no way, let alone the fact that she said just line it with baking paper and then put oil on it. But then you're putting cheese on it. You don't, like, what? And then, like I said, the orangeness of it. I know I've seen it and said it plenty of times, but how are you having orange cheese? And what is triple cheddar and Tex-Mex? Oh, this is wild. I've never seen anything like it. I'm sure it tastes good because it's the cheese and it's just like, it's just perfect. But man, is it weird.
The
What have
largest
you got?
deliverable
What?
pizza has just
What?
arrived in Edmonton,
What
and it
is
even
that?
held
Wait,
a
did I
Guinness
hear
World Record.
deliverable?
This pizza is called the Giant Sicilian and is 54
Wild.
by 54 inches in size. Has
Wow.
200 slices and feeds up to 50 people. It requires
Well,
multiple
that's
pizza
dependable.
experts to make and bake and 4 people to carry.
That's awesome. As a product, to being able to deliver that, now I just have it in my mind that some poor guy on the back of a scooter is having to deliver that. Whether does it come in like a glass carrier when you see panes of glass getting carried around? But that is wild. I mean, I would kind of love it if they didn't just make it a, well, I was going to say a half and half, but it's not. It's a quarter and quarter, just with one in each. But it's still what? 54 inches by 54 inches, so it's like 130 centimeters by 130, so you're still getting 75 centimeters of pizza. Like, that's like, what, 2-3 large pizzas just in each quarter. That thing is crazy. No wonder they can fit 200 slices in here. I mean, I'd love to know, how do they cut it? Do they have to use a roller and just try and bend over the entire table? How do you possibly go about that? Because they can't use the standard kind of fast food guillotine roller pizza cutter just to be doing that, unless you've got a kind of like a 2-man saw just on an angle like this. That'd be ridiculous to see. But no, I would love to know, how much does this cost? As I can only imagine for something like this, with the kind of nuance of the box size, let alone the pizza size, let alone the logistics of delivering it. Like, how much is delivery for something like that? Delivery from pizza places usually isn't cheap, but that thing must be crazy. Oh, well, maybe it might be $350. Someone might know, or it might just be an absolute bluff, but I can presume it would be something like that. But for the novelty of it, and for the amount of pizza that you're getting and the amount of people that you're able to feed with something like that, I feel like if you split it up per head, it's probably not actually that bad. I mean, the next person does say 200 slices sounds like it should feed up to 200 people, not 50. I certainly disagree. Please tell me, how does someone only eat one slice? And I know that there are people out there, but that's a question to people. If you are someone that only eats like 1.5, 2 slices, and that's you full, how do you do that? That's That's ridiculous. I mean, I know there's cheese, but just get them down you. That's what so many people I know can eat a whole pizza. No worries.
KFC in
round
Australia.
two, we're coming back.
Let's talk about it. This was $30.
Right. What are you going to be getting? The zingers, original recipes. All right. A couple of nuggets, chips.
4 burgers, 2 large fries.
Right.
Popcorn chicken.
Yep.
And
What?
something we do not have in Canada.
What is it?
Nuggets.
Oh, wow. Okay. KFC doesn't do nuggets, but they just do
It's so
popcorn chicken.
good. And the popcorn chicken, it has like the batter from Canada, like the tender batter. It's so much better. Unbelievable. And then their fries, George loves them.
Oh. I guess it depends what you want out of your chips.
They have more salt on them. And like, it's just, yeah, they are pretty good. I'm gonna give that to her.
Oh.
All this for $30.
Yeah?
Insane.
Is that a lot, or is that not much? Well, I guess he said insane, so it must be pretty darn good. But I wonder, how does KFC's prices compare around the world? Because there's the McDonald's price index, which compares the price of, I believe it's a Big Mac around the world. And Australia's prices for fast food actually aren't too bad, surprisingly. I think for a while, I mean, it goes through ebbs and flows, but I think compared to even the USA, recently, we have a cheaper burger than a lot of the places around the world, where a lot of people would think that the USA and other countries would be having much cheaper fast food. But I would love to know how that actually then translate over to KFC, because from him saying that's 4 burgers, 2 chips, and 2 chicken products for $30, I guess it's not too bad. I'm trying to think, when did this come out? It came out a few years ago, so I'm sure that it has just gone up a little bit since then, but still, just how does it compare from a price perspective all around the world? I would love to know.
Ask and you shall receive. Here's what kids eat at school in Canada.
What are they?
So this one was really
What?
interesting for me.
What is that?
Canada is one of the only countries that doesn't have a national school meal program. So a lot of kids just have to pack their lunch from home. When I
What
was
are you on
doing
about?
my research, I read that some schools don't even have a cafeteria and kids just buy food off campus or wherever if they don't pack their lunch.
Yeah.
I did read that if you can't afford breakfast, the school will give you like granola bars, fruits, milk, things like that. But yeah, in general, people just pack their lunch. If you're Canadian, let me know if this is true or not, or what you eat at school, and follow me for more.
But what do you mean one of the only countries that doesn't have a national food program? What, is Australia one of 2 and Canada is the other one? I've never heard of such a thing, let alone the background. There is no way that is, well, anyone's lunch that is just going to school. There is no, I mean, maybe in the Nordic countries, that would be the best, closest thing you would ever get. But there is just no way. But there are so many questions about this. I mean, the lunch was one thing, but then she moved on to breakfast as well, saying granola bars and milk and all of that. No Australian school has ever gone, oh, you haven't had breakfast, here you go. I mean, I do believe that Australian schools start later than North American schools. Don't North American schools start at like 7:30 or something ridiculous? We're just 9 till 3, done and dusted, no worries. Don't bother getting up that early, that's insane. You don't want to be dragging kids out of school at dark. They already can't start at 9, let alone 7 or 7:30. But still, no Australian school, certainly public school that I've ever known, provides any kind of lunch for kids. Every single person brings their own lunch or buys it from the cafeteria, if you want to be calling that, the canteen, if you want to be more particular. But that's not really a thing. Like, you can order and you can pay, but nothing is ever included.
This is for anyone thinking of moving to Canada. Our food prices are outrageous. Here we have a pack of drumsticks from Costco, $202 for this pack.
That's wild.
Or $224 for this one. Moral of the story, don't move here.
How many is that? I mean, I can only assume it's going to be done per kilo. What is it, $2 a kilo at 90? Wait, hang on a second. It's no way it's going to be $99.99 a kilo. That's got to be some kind of misprint there. There's no way. Like, if it was something more like $57.89 a kilo, or even $99.97, but $99.99, there's no way. I'm not accepting that as being real. As for one, $200 for all of those. Doesn't make sense, especially at Costco. I don't really have much experience, but I thought that they were cheap, let alone the fact that it's exactly $100 a kilo. There's something wild going on there. Unless I'm just completely off basis and that is true. And if that is true, that's still, on the other end of the spectrum, just as crazy. So overall, Canada has some crazy foods going on, things that people have never heard of but apparently are really famous, things that are apparently really famous but no one's ever even just being able to fathom, and everything else in between, from cheese, chips, or whatever else you want to be making. They've got British influence, they've got European overall influence, so they've got plenty of USA influence, and then they've just got their own spice mix, so to say.